I think he's genuinely unsure of how he wants to finish his career, right? In LA, in Cleveland, on a max deal, minimum deal, whatever. Like, I think he's genuinely unsure. And it sort of is a fitting bookend because it kind of felt like he was not so certain why he wanted to be with the Lakers either, right? Was it for comfort? Was it he wanted to win? Was it because, yeah, it's like a good way to kind of, golden parachute into my retirement? Is it because my family wants to be in LA? Was it because I want to be in movies? And it's kind of jumped around throughout the years. And I think it's just sort of, well, I never got to ask him. I would love to know. And I don't even know if he could articulate it now or if he would, right? Because it would take some self-reflection. But I don't think I would be love to know on Truth Serum, why did you go to the Lakers? Like, there are all these theories people close to him have. But I don't know if he had a genuinely good answer for why he went to LA to begin with.
Thanks for coming on. It's really appreciated. We love interviewing authors, so it's a pleasure to have you on. And so let's hop into the book, and we really get into the minutiae. So what was the origin story of the book? Where you pitched? Was this an original idea? How did you come up with this concept?
There's a couple things. One, I've been covering the NBA for about 10 years. I live in New York. And I've never really written about LeBron that much. It's certainly not in depth, mostly for the part that I'm on the East Coast. And the way I sort of approach my NBA writing day to day is I like to think I like to zag, right? If there's zigging, I'm zagging. And it's not like there was much, the world wasn't in need of more daily LeBron coverage, right? That was not a bucket that the NBA world needed me to fill. But at some point, so the answer to your question are two different parts. At some point, one, I just felt like I'm 37 years old. LeBron's the defining, not just basketball player, I think athlete of my generation. You want to put Tom Brady in there, but like, he's the guy, right? Like, that, it's LeBron. If you're a sports fan my age and as someone who's covered the NBA, that's something I felt like something I wanted to do, and I want to write about him. I wanted to unpack what he's like. And then the other thing is I'm drawn to, I think I'm pretty good at it, if I may say so myself. I'm drawn to sort of unpacking the power dynamics of the NBA and, how the things that happen behind the scenes impact what we end up seeing on the court. That was a big part of a lot of the reporting and stories I do. And my last book, kind of trying to take readers where they can't go, right? And to me, it's just pretty obvious that there's no better situation that would be more interesting to dive into and kind of look at that dynamic than when the marriage between these institutions of LeBron and the Lakers, right? These two giant NBA institutions sort of merging under one roof. So those are the things that kind of drew me to the story.
So you mentioned when LeBron and the Lakers got together, and I think it happens in sports or any type of relationship. There's the honeymoon period, right? Everything's going great, everything's new, fresh. Were there any signs of perhaps some friction between the two sides immediately when they got together, or was it kind of all sunshines and rainbows when LeBron got to LA at first?
No, this is interesting. I mean, there was no honeymoon period. The honeymoon period came in year 2, right? Year 1, if you remember, people and fans will remember, right? LeBron signed. He's at Cleveland. He carries this ragtag Cleveland team to the finals. It's very clear. They lose. I think they got swept, but that was the Kevin Durant, Steph Curry team. Kyrie was gone already. He did everything he could, right? The game 1 was the J.R. Smith forgetting the score, and LeBron played, I don't remember the stat line, but if you look it up, he played one of the all-time great games in NBA history. Again, they were starting like Matthew Dellavedova, right? Against this Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, a team you could argue is one of maybe the greatest team of all time. Like, you could put that argument if you wanted to. And he took them to overtime. If they win game 1, everything changes. So anyway, he goes from there to LA and he joins a Lakers team that is really young and is coming off sort of his rebuild, and it's full of young guys, young prospects like Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, Randall. I think Randall was actually Josh Hart, Kuzma. Like, these are all the guys. This is the team he's joining. And he says before, and in his interviews after joining the Lakers, he's very clear. He says in an interview with Rachel Nichols and on media day, "No, I know what I'm joining. I understand it's going to take time." And it's very clear early on that he is not that is not actually how he feels. I mean, this is one of my favorite stories in the book. One of the first signs that things would be problematic was the Lakers have this event at a casino every year. I think it's in San Diego, for the players. It's basically for sponsors and ticket holder and major season ticket holders, VIPs, all that stuff. And all the players go. It's every year. All the players go. Everyone shows up. It's known. It's a thing you have to do. LeBron does not take the team bus does not go on the bus with the team to the event. He ends up taking a helicopter, so he's already drawing sort of a line. He's separate from the rest of the group. And then he gets there, and there's an Ohio State football game on. And he basically spends the night in his hotel room watching the Ohio State football game instead of coming down. And so it's irrelevant. Does it actually matter? No, but it's sort of telling that his first team event, he was drawing this line between him and the group. And that dynamic carried throughout the whole year. There was an issue with Rajon Rondo and his teammate and Chris Paul. They got into a fight, and Brandon Ingram was backing up LeBron's friends with Chris Paul. Brandon Ingram jumped in, and basically LeBron ended up kind of going and standing with Chris Paul instead of with his teammates, and that really annoyed the teammates. I had the quote from one player saying to the team staff, I think it was Ingram, saying, oh, why? I don't understand. I just said these boys are those guys, but he should be backing us up. Like, he just things like that. And then obviously it all culminates with him making very clear he wants the Lakers to trade for Anthony Davis, trade all the young guys for Anthony Davis. So to answer your question, the honeymoon period came after the AD trade, right? There was initially it was not there, which is pretty strange, honestly.
So was there a difference between kind of that rocky introduction and his previous teams? Like, in terms of your research with his tenure with LeBron, was this a different LeBron James compared to the Heat and then his return to Cleveland, or even when he was a rookie? Like, how was this?
Good question. Thinking about, his first year in Miami was rocky too. If you remember, that was were they 10-12? I forget what they were under 500. I think that it was the bump, right? We bumped Spoelstra, and they asked Spoelstra. This isn't my reporting. This was, I think, Ian Thompson in the book and others after that. They basically, LeBron and others went to Pat Riley and basically intimated that they wanted to come down. And Riley said, no, Spoelstra is going to stay the guy. So yeah, for sure that. His first year back in Cleveland, he was not his rookie year, but when he returned, he was a savior, right? Like, it's like he came back. We can't believe he came back. They also traded for Kevin Love, so that team was sort of built right away. So it's a little different, but I do think it kind of, looking back, it's sort of emblematic and foreshadowed where his Lakers tenure would go, which is it's this really strange time in his career and it's hard to, you don't really know what to make of it, right? It's like the longest consecutive streak he's had with any team. He won a title, but he's missed the playoffs a bunch of times. You don't want to say it's a failure because they did win a title, but it sort of feels like a failure, honestly, just the way it went. Kind of going back to, like, did he know? Was he, and we're seeing it now, where I think what's happening now with him in his careers, I think he's genuine. I don't know this. My feeling, educated guess, is that I think he's genuinely unsure of how he wants to finish his career, right? In LA, in Cleveland, on a max deal, minimum deal, whatever. Like, I think he's genuinely unsure. And it sort of is a fitting bookend because it kind of felt like he was not so certain why he wanted to be the Lakers either, right? Was it for comfort? Was it he wanted to win? Was it because, it's like a good way to kind of, a golden parachute into my retirement? Like, and is it because my family wants to be in LA? Was it because I want to be in movies? And it's kind of jumped around throughout the years. And I think it's just sort of, I never got to ask him. I would love to know. And I don't even know if he could articulate it now or if he would, right? Because it would take some self-reflection. But I don't think I would love to know on Truth Serum, why did you go to the Lakers? Like, there are all these theories people close to him have, but I don't know if he had a genuinely good answer for why he went to LA to begin with.
What do you think his temperament is? We saw the thing as recording of this podcast. He did the whole fake, the decision to, it was a Hennessy. Yeah. Like, what's the motivation behind that? Like, is this supposed to be funny? Like, I just don't understand what this guy's point is, because I feel like he found it hilarious, but like the rest of the world did not. And I'm just wondering, what's the price tag behind this guy?
No, I don't know. He confuses me. And again, and it sounds like it's criticism. It's really not. It's more confusion, right? Bewilderment. Like, so the Hennessy ad, the Decision 2.0 thing, right? I found that to be really, really strange and almost sad, right? And not that I don't care if people cash out or sell out. Like, I will do you. It doesn't make a difference to me. I think it's a little beneath LeBron to be on a DraftKings ad with Kevin Hart, right? I think that's a little strange, but honestly, I don't know. I'm making this up, but if they're giving him 7 figures for 8 hours of work, cool, right? Maybe that's what it is, right? I'll do that too. The tweet, like the using with the Hennessy ad, right? So leveraging, what he did was he leveraged his ability to capture the culture, the zeitgeist, the culture's attention, right? And that's a unique ability that, I don't know, he might be the only guy. I don't know how many other athletes have that, honestly, right? Who can really capture the attention the way he did with that tweet. So he has that, and he's using that to help Hennessy build their brand, right? And that to me is strange. Like, this is somebody who I think one of the defining aspects of his legacy is going to be kind of that he ushered in this player empowerment era in the NBA and really all sports. The idea that, the players have the power and it's okay if I change teams, and why shouldn't I? And I want to get my max money then also, and super teams and all that, and then that's on the court and off the court. Me and my friends, we're going to do our own agency, Klutch Sports, and we're going to have my friend Maverick Carter. We're not going to just work for Disney or whatever. We're going to make our own production company, and we're going to ask for equity in the companies we invested in, and then later on, we're going to dabble in 2020. We're going to dabble in maybe kind of heading down the social justice thought leader, political leader aspect. And he's pulled back on that, which again is fine. But just somebody did all that, and now to settle in this point where he just wants to help Hennessy, use his brand to help Hennessy sell booze. I found it really strange. It sounds like a weird line to draw. But I would almost, if that was all teasing for his own company, I think that'd actually be really different. I honestly do. To me, it's strange that this person, this player empowerment, we are in control. We're the people, what people want, right? I have a section in my book, in my prologue. I have a section I basically got to eavesdrop on him in the locker room talking to Anthony Davis and other teammates, and they were having a conversation about which contract meant the most when you signed it, and it basically landed on how much do you think them asking LeBron, how much do you think you should, if there was no salary cap, what would your contracts actually be? And him saying he should basically get 12 years, 4 years, $500 million. That's what he landed on. And the quote was along the lines of, because with me, I bring more to the city. It's not just wins. I change everything. And he's 1,000% right? 1,000% right. And he understands that. And that guy to decide that he's going to just be like a corporate shill is strange to me. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite bizarre. And I'm wondering, though, with this tension that he has with the Lakers, last year they were pretty successful, considering everything that was happening. They had a disappointing run in the playoffs, but in terms of their win record in the regular season, I'm just wondering, with the NBA these days with so much parity, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for the Lakers, if things break their way, to have a successful run. I don't think that's insane to say. So if craziness happens and they happen to make it to the finals and win a championship, how would his legacy change from there? Do you think it still would be tenuous, even if the Lakers somehow win another title with Luka and him at the helm? Would that really change anything? Because I don't see that as likely, but I don't think that's impossible, especially in this age of the NBA.
It's a good question. I mean, I think his legacy is secure in terms of you will find most people, and you'll find, I always joke that, there's 20 NBA players who if you're going top 10 NBA players, you have to put 25 people on the list, right? Because there's too many, Kobe, Magic, Shaq, Kareem, Wilt, Larry Bird, Oscar, LeBron. I just named 9 without even thinking, right? And there's 12 more like that. And there's no wrong answer. They're all top 10 players, right? So LeBron's that, and honestly, he and Duncan, LeBron's. I think most people go Jordan and him, right? I think that's where probably most people land is Jordan and then him. So his legacy is secure with that. One more title would be interesting. But it's it's also not it's no longer his title, right? It would be Luka's, and that would be that's different. Yeah, I feel like his legacy here is sort of what he does post-career. I mean, listen, it could be some rejuvenation, though it certainly seems like the way he's approaching this season when he's already out now, it feels like we've climbed over the mountain where he's far from washed, right? I think it was underrated. People talk about how LeBron was not the player he used to be, but last year, yeah, he wasn't a top 3 player. He was top 20. He's still unbelievable.
Yeah.
It seems like this year we might be reached the next point where maybe we're not all NBA, right? We're not going to play. We're going to play closer to 50 games, and we're going to be just a different level, which again, I mean, turning 41, it's insane. Tom Brady's the only comp throughout American sports, major American sports. That's the only guy who's done anything remote close to this, excuse me. So I think that's part of his legacy, and I think his legacy, he'll kind of be what he does after. If he actually does become an owner, and is he successful at it or not, or does he sort of fade into the background? He's dabbling in this media stuff a little bit now with his podcast. I don't know if that's what he wants to do. I feel like that's the stuff that can sort of separate him and will be interesting to follow, and also will be interesting to see how he deals with not being not being on the public's mind every day. Like I think that's going to be I don't know if he realized, but I think that's going to be an adjustment for him, right? Being the center of attention.
Do your research. What is the biggest, I guess, thing that casual fans should know about LeBron? They have, I think, kind of a surface level impression of him just due to his play on the court and maybe there's media appearances, but you delve deep into this relationship with the Lakers. So what should fans be aware of just about LeBron overall, negatively, positively, or just maybe neutral?
I'm going to get positive. It's a little different, right? So the longevity we'll talk about, but I love
Sure.
it. I think it's one of these things that like everyone knows he works hard, he's disciplined, but what does that actually mean? And that was one of the things I wanted to unpack. Like, how does this guy do that,
Sure.
right? And I heard this story. He has this trainer named Mike Mancias, and like these guys would say basically the stories, other players, and I've had a good quote. I'll give a good quote on it after, but other players would basically tell stories that like, when sitting around, hanging around, and all of a sudden Mike Mancias pops out like there's a trap door with like his 2:12 p.m. salmon and like quinoa, right? They're so scheduled and so regimented, and every minute of every day is mapped out. And I think that's the stuff that separates him, right? Like, yeah, obviously there's the God-given talent and physical tools, and he's brilliant in terms of basketball IQ, but the discipline, especially in the off season, right? Like playing games is the easy part. I think people miss that. Like guys, when the season starts, that's not when they want to retire. When they want to retire is when it's July and August, and you have to put up 1,000 jumpers in the gym by yourself, and you have to watch what you eat and go to bed at 9 p.m. and all those things to maintain a certain level. And that discipline is really something that, I mean, his is unparalleled. And like, going back to like his guys being around him, a trapdoor, Michael Beasley, who's known LeBron for years and played with him, he said, I think the quote was something along the lines of be like a motherfucking NASCAR pit stop up in there, right? With LeBron and all the guys around him, just, managing him. And, he's on the set of Space Jam, and while he's reciting lines, he's got a guy giving him a massage, right? Not just because that's what it calls for. And he built a gym while I was filming Space Jam. He has a court on set at the studio, and he's getting in runs at 4 a.m. because he needs to maintain his level. So like, I know we take for granted what it is, but I think the level of discipline and what he was willing to put into maintaining his greatness is, again, like Tom Brady's that's it. Like, it's unparalleled. Those are the guys. There's nothing, no one else like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think with fans, they usually get caught up on talent, which is important, but I think they miss the hard work element into it. I know it's so basic and kind of corny, but I think it's the truth in terms of just the work that they put in. I think that's something that's underreported. So I'm glad you delved into that. Regarding the perception of LeBron, I want to jump into the fans. Did you delve into the fans' relationship with LeBron? And ultimately, my co-host, who couldn't be, he's feeling under the weather, he was going to ask about, like, when it's all said and done, kind of the statue situation. Like, how's that going to work in terms of, do you think LeBron's deserving? He has mentioned in terms of, how LeBron feels about his impact to his city. I'm sure it's not out of the realm of possibility. He probably wants a statue after he's retired. So how the fans feel about that too also.
Well, okay. So the Lakers are going to be coming under new ownership, so that changes things a little bit, right? Sure. It's hard to know but if the Buss family own the Lakers, like, as long as they own the Lakers, I would be stunned if there wasn't a LeBron statue, if that makes sense. I know it's a lot of negatives I'm adding. That's just how they operate, right? Like LeBron, he is a top 5, no question asked, player of all time who have spent at least 8 years with their franchise and won a title, right? That is the guy. This is an organization, a city. It's about stars, right? Like, he is the link in the chain. They want to be known as, Kareem and Magic, the Kobe and Shaq to LeBron, right? Like, that's the chain. So he would get a statue. New ownership, I don't know. I mean, I'd be surprised if they didn't give him one, but I guess who knows, right? His relationship with the LA fans is weird, and I think it surprised him, right? When he got there, it wasn't like welcome with open arms. If you remember, there were murals that were defaced.
Yeah.
There was him and Kobe. There was a lot of like beef, a little between the two players themselves, and a lot among their fans. I mean, you have to him and Kobe, polar opposites, right? Like, in terms of how they play the game and how they approach things. Like, Kobe is killer, killer, killer. Take no friends. Be enough. Don't be friends. You don't pass the ball late in the game. You take the shot. Mamba mentality. All that stuff. Off-court business is no. It's about winning the championship. That's all that matters. LeBron is friends with other stars, right? He links up with other stars. He's about making the right play at the end of the game. Remember, like 15 years ago, that felt like it was a first take segment every other week, was LeBron passing to a wide open guy in the corner, should he have shot the ball or whatever, right? Like what Kobe would just go, I think of Dave Chappelle going Kobe, right? Like that would be Kobe, right? And LeBron is about off-court ventures too, building. He had things he wanted to build outside of basketball. Not that he didn't take basketball seriously, like we just talked about, right? Like the discipline was there. So they were completely opposite. There's also, I mean, it's strange. It doesn't speak great about it's not a great commentary on society. The fact that LeBron fans seem to take more issue with LeBron's, balancing the team to team and the decision than Kobe being accused of sexual assault, right? Like one people seem to be able to bounce back from one than the other. It's not great, but I think it just is, right? And that seemed to be it offended sports. LeBron's sins offended sports fans more than Kobe's. And in LA, it just wasn't like, it was just weird. And so much like Kobe even was like quoted to reporters saying like, no, like LeBron's great. It eventually changed. It is an interesting. There's a great if you want to like two goalposts. One is LeBron when he passed Michael Jordan his first to the Lakers for third all time scoring. It was just like the team tried to make a big deal of it. I put this in the book, but it was just a weird night. Like it just announced it. There was barely any cheering. It was just it felt like a mercenary. It really did. When he passed Kareem for most points ever, that felt like that was a magical night. And if you watch a video, you can see it. And that felt like the Lakers fans celebrating one of their own doing an amazing thing. So there was a bit of an evolution there, but I think it's going to be interesting, like in 10 years from now, how many, LeBron jerseys you see, like after LeBron's retired, how many, I don't know if you'll see a ton of LeBron jerseys around LA. I could be wrong, but it's just, he never seemed to have connected. He hasn't seemed to have connected in that way, with the fan base.
Does that have anything to do with the title that he won was during the bubble and during the pandemic? It was a regular season, not in terms of the necessarily the significance, but just the fan attention in terms of, the fans being able to attend and to actually take part.
I think 100%.
Yeah.
You robbed the connection point, right? Yeah. Like that was the thing about, I write this in the book, the night when he passed Kareem for scoring.
Yeah.
That was like when LeBron signed with the Lakers, they envisioned like, oh, there are going to be dozens of these magical nights where it feels like the sports world, this is us, we're all bonding, connecting, and COVID robbed them of that. Like those are touch points that form connections of fandom, right? Being at playoff games, parades, finals games, and no Lakers fans gonna have a memory of being in the building for that title. So I think 1,000%, like that's something that we can't quantify, but I do think that impacts fandom for sure.
And through your book, what do you want fans to be aware of this relation between LeBron and Lakers management and even like his teammates? Like what's kind of one of the overarching narratives that you want for it to come across between those?
That's a good question. That there was, I think people know there was constant conflict. The level of that conflict or the depths of that conflict, I should say, I think are maybe not fully understood. The interesting part is LeBron, I think a big part of the Klutch Lakers, right? I think that's overstated if you look at the moves, right? It starts in 2019 when LeBron wants them to hire Ty Lue as his coach, and the Lakers the Lakers say no, right? And LeBron didn't have the power to do that. The Klutch was able to bully some things through early on because they had LeBron and because they were able to leverage that power. But LeBron, the idea, I think there was a belief that like LeBron would call up Jeannie Buss or Rob Pelinka and say, "Get me this guy," and that probably happened a couple times or whatever. But the idea that he was the shadow GM. I mean, my reporting is that that's pretty far from the truth. Now, the Russell Westbrook trade is something that he played a big role in, and they all did, and that was sort of the final straw. And after that, the Lakers front office used that as the fact that was such a disaster, right? They kind of use that as, okay, we're done. We're doing this fully our way now. But that doesn't mean like they made the trade too. They also wanted it. So yeah, I think that's part of it. Just the waves and the ups and downs of that relationship. And LeBron, again, I think people know in terms of his relationship with teammates, he's a tough teammate, right? He really is. I have stories, the bubble year, anyone who was there the bubble year will tell you how incredible a leader he was. Incredible from the start. And I think part of it is it's almost like it's a poor phrase. It's going to sound meaner than it's meant. He's a bit of a front runner when he senses the team, when he believes he's on a championship caliber roster, and that the bubble year, even before the bubble, like he thought that be game one. I have stories about him sending text messages in a group chat being like, just let's lock in for players only camp, pictures of gifs of lions walking together and just what they're going to be and things like that. So when he feels it's locked in, he is locked in, he is leading, he is directing in film sessions, he's active. But if he doesn't believe the team has a shot to win a title, he can be passive aggressive and he can mentally check out, and that can drain an organization for sure.
So what is his relationship, you think, going to be like with Luka? Somebody who's trying to ascend to that next level, but like with LeBron, I have a feeling with this guy's ego, I don't think the passing of the torch is going to be the most go smoothly, or do you think it's going to be?
I think it's fine. Yeah, my understanding is, one, I think Luka, like, he is so clearly one of those guys that somebody he's so good and so smart. Like he really he plays similarly to LeBron, right? In terms of how the point forward and brilliant passing, chess moves, seeing forward plays ahead, forward movements ahead, things like that. I think I know he's someone LeBron universally respects. Anyone close to LeBron say, no, Luka is no issue. Like Luka, he's great. That's great. I mean, listen, he told us how he felt when they traded his best friend on the team, Anthony Davis, for Luka before the trade deadline. If LeBron wanted out, he could have gotten out, and the Lakers would have been cool with it. And he stayed, right? He told us how he felt. And he was really happy last year. Carmelo Anthony was said on a podcast last year, like he's never seen LeBron look happier. Like during the second half of the year, he looked great and he seemed very happy. And I think because it's Luka, he knows he's 41 too, right? That's okay. I think if the Lakers were trying to, I don't know who would be an example, like to Julius Randle, that's not even good enough. Whatever it is, like then I think that'd be a problem.
Sure.
So that part fine, but I do think there's a problem with him. I do think he clearly feels disrespected by the Lakers. The fact that he's on an expiring contract this year for the first time in his career. I mean, they'll deny this, but there's no way that's what he wanted. He obviously would have wanted to be given a new contract, right, with a 1+1 option or player option or something. So the fact that he's not given that, I think it's fair to say he probably finds a little disrespectful. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out, but I don't think it's an issue with the Luka stuff.
Like you said earlier, LeBron is one of the biggest athletes just in terms of popularity and his impact to the sport of basketball. When we always talk about legacies when athletes retired, LeBron especially is kind of the first athlete of his caliber to, at least in basketball, to retire within the age of social media. So what do you think his kind of legacy is going to be compared to Michael Jordan, who didn't have social media? I always refer to him, he had like a godlike status, right? It's kind of, people talk about him, it's like he's
unknown, right? It's an unknown thing to him.
Yeah, totally. Compared to LeBron, we know everything about him, especially with his tenure with the Lakers. Kind of, where do you think it's going to lie when it's all said and done when he retires? Do you think it'll be kind of a loving story, or do you think there'll be a lot of somewhat resentment and kind of mixed feelings when it's all said and done?
I mean, well, if the social media thing, I mean, it's kind of telling. Like, what's one of his social media legacies is him, I'll be nice, exaggerating, let's say, right? Like, that he knew that this rapper was going to be great, or that Kobe would score 81, or things like that. So that, I mean, that's part of it, right? Like, it's kind of what you're saying. It's that he's basically been giving on the record interviews for 20 plus years. Like, so it's going to be a lot of that. Yeah, the culture's got a weird relationship with LeBron. I don't know if it's a him thing. I wish I knew. It'll be interesting to see who comes next and how that is, right? It's fans have a weird. He's so good and so respected, and yet there's so many fans who just, if you say LeBron, just like, oh, I hate that guy,
right?
But then they can't articulate why. He's phony. He's a little, but like they can't really articulate why. A lot of it's like he's not Jordan, right? It's almost like if you play because again, it's not like it's the Mamba thing. If if you're that guy, you're supposed to carry yourself a certain way. I think LeBron probably, I was talking about could be a tough teammate. Like I don't think anyone has ever described LeBron as a bleep hole, right? I don't. Like people can say passive aggressive, a little moody, whatever. Like no one's ever described him as a jerk. I'm sure somewhere, but you never hear that. Those other guys you do, right? So it's interesting. And so why is it saying we deify? I don't know. I guess that's a bigger question for American culture. but yeah, so his legacy, I mean, it's gonna be all-time great, and it's gonna be with some interesting decisions. But again, I think part of it will be impacted by what he does after he retires.
And a final question for you: when fans pick up the book, what is some things that you want them to look for, and what is kind of the prolonged message that you want kind of to be everlasting in people's minds when they're done reading it?
I just want people to know, like, this is what this was really like. I think I say in the prologue, this is a book about storytellers, and the stories they tell about themselves, right? So whether it's LeBron, the Bus family, Rich Paul, Rob Pelinka, the GM, these are people who it's a lot of myth making, right? And when you tell, and it's worked for them, but it's not everyone's the stories they all tell about themselves aren't exactly accurate. I'm a believer in that, not as a gotcha thing, but just I feel like as fans, we should know what things are actually like and what the deal is and who these people really are. And I actually think it humanizes them and makes them more relatable, right? When you see the flaws. I just think if you want to know what the NBA is actually like and what it was actually like during this defining player's final 10 years is a really important part of his career. Like that, I think you'll get this book. You'll have it. Like that's what I want you to pick up, right? And be entertained and informed and enjoy the story about, which I'll tease about, like how Will Smith contributed to the breakup between Russell Westbrook and LeBron James and fun stories like that, right? But yeah, I guess that'll be my answer. Yeah, you can check me out. I'm on all the it's Yaron Weitzman. You can look it up. My website, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Feel free. Covering NBA throughout various forms. If you pre-order the book, I'll even give you a little. You email LeBron Lakers book at Gmail. You can get a bookmark. Look, you can be like reading. You can be reading alongside LeBron. Maybe we talk about the phoniness a little bit. Maybe that's one of the things. Like always on page one. Yeah. So you do that, and you can make out a message. But yeah, you can check me out wherever. All the basic areas that you would expect.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us. Truly appreciate it. And congrats on the book.
Thank you. I appreciate it.